underrated and expertly written game, Spider-Man Edge of Time Retrospective Review by Always Nerdy. God damn, bro. Yo, this is loud. Like when you have the volume up, it's loud. I'll turn it down a little. Yo, I'm not like this opening scene right here is immaculate, bro. Also, bro, I said it yesterday. I'm pretty sure. I think I said it yesterday. Always Nerdy. He be making mad good videos. He made this video. He just be making like he makes like retrospectives and stuff. He makes good videos. But anyway, like I was saying though, this opening is so good, bro. I'm gonna keep it playing though.
In 2010, Beenox released their first original Spider-Man game, published by Activision, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Shattered Dimensions was well received and considered a success, enough so that Activision was eager to crank out another Beenox-developed Spider-Man game as soon as possible. Activision being Activision, though, only saw dollar signs, not caring as much for quality, giving Beenox only a year to develop and release their new game. Typically, it's a common standard to give game developers 2 years or so to develop the sequel to their last game. So with only a year to release this next...
I'm pretty sure this game isn't even like a sequel. Like, I'm pretty sure they said something like... Because they had 1 year, they were like, oh... Like, it's probably not going to hold up. Or like, I mean... It's something like that. It was like, it's probably not going to be like Shattered Dimensions, so people might be disappointed. But I ain't gonna lie. I think the game turned out good. Like I think it's a good game. Like, here. The issues with it was like, the game was a teeny bit repetitive. I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty repetitive. And stuff, but the gameplay wasn't horrible. It was just pretty much Shattered Dimensions. But like I said in yesterday, bro, they got rid of in Edge of Time. They got rid of the dodging, bro. You feel me? Like, they got rid of that, bro. And the dodging was so good in Shattered Dimensions. They replaced it for like just abilities, like I'm pretty sure 2099 had accelerated vision. At an amazing had like hypersense, which I mean it was cool. Hypersense was decent, but I don't know. It was just something about the dodging. I felt like it was cool. It was just cool. But yeah, the game was a little bit repetitive. But I'm saying what made like, bro, in my opinion, the game just had such a good like concept and story. Like I said, the story, bro. I don't know if I said it today that the story is good, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I said the story is good today. I'm pretty sure I said it yesterday. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I said today as well. The story, bro, is just so good, bro. It's like, bro, quantum causality. That's just fire. I feel like the concept is really good. Like I said, bro, that story, bro, it's just so good.
Game, Beenox was already under pressure. Still, they pushed on, but given the short deadline, they realized they couldn't make a full-fledged sequel to Shattered Dimensions, and instead opted to do somewhat of a follow-up game in the same continuity, naming it Spider-Man Edge of Time. Many fans assumed this was a sequel to Shattered Dimensions. However, while promoting the game, Beenox made sure to emphasize on multiple occasions that the game is not a sequel.
Our Spider-Man 2099 is different from...
Because I've seen this video before.
Spider-Man 2099 from Shattered Dimension. Actually, this is not a sequel.
This led to a lot of confusion as fans wondered if the game tied into Shattered Dimensions or if it was a separate game in its own continuity. Looking at the game now after its release, I can definitely say that it takes place within the same continuity, but I see why they didn't...
Oh, I know exactly what scene this is right here. Yo, this is like the most... I'm not like, it's just Peter in this scene. This is him right here at the bottom right. He was just so dumb because like... see, Spider-Man Edge of Time, he's talking to him through like something. But he's talking from the future, like... He's from the future talking to Peter in the past. And like, he's telling him how, yo, don't do this, you're about to die. And then Peter was like, man, shut up. And went anyway, bro. I'm like bro, imagine someone from the future tells you you're about to die. And you just tell him, and you just do it anyway, bro. It's whatever.
Wanted to be considered a sequel. I think the reason the game wasn't called Shattered Dimensions 2 was an attempt to manage fan expectations. By naming it Shattered Dimensions 2, it gives the impression that this game will be bigger and expand on everything that they had done in Shattered Dimensions 1. With such a short release deadline though, Beenox clearly wouldn't have the ability to make a game of that scale in a year, so they decided on the title Edge of Time to temper expectations. In a recent interview by Games Radar, Beanox co-studio head Thomas Wilson looks back on these Spider-Man games and gives some insight into their thought process back then. I wish we could have done a Shattered Dimensions 2, as there's so much content to draw inspiration from in the comics.
Yo.
Now, of course, the industry has evolved.
Bro, let me just say something too. Yo, I'm about to make this video 2 hours or 3 hours, bro. But there's actually a 3DS version of this game. I'm not like, it's just so like impressive to me because the 3DS version, like they didn't change the game at all. It's just the same game, but the graphics are a little bit, because obviously it's a 3DS. It's not like gonna be the exact same. Like the game, no, the game is the same, but the graphics is a little bit, it's not the same. But I'm not lying, like I feel like a lot of games, like they kind of switch it a little bit, like they change it a little bit. But bro, the game is just the exact same. It's cool.
But after the first game, I wish we could have jumped right into the sequel because I love the formula and approach we had. The big difference with Edge of Time is that we had very little development time, and I guess that's the reason why some of the fans were potentially disappointed that it was half of what Shattered Dimensions had been. It was a situation where a game needed to be released quickly, so the decision was made to focus exclusively on Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099, as we knew that it was a storyline that we'd seen in the comic books. As Thomas points out, Edge of Time focuses on two of the Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff I was talking about yesterday, I knew it from this video, bro. I'm telling y'all, this dude's videos are like so good, bro.
Mentions 2099 and The Amazing Spider-Man, leaving out Ultimate and Noir. They also changed up the voice cast a bit. Josh Keaton, who voiced Ultimate Spider-Man in the first game, is now voicing Amazing Spider-Man in Edge of Time instead of Neil Patrick Harris. Christopher Daniel Barnes also returns after voicing Spider-Man Noir in Shattered Dimensions, but this time he's playing Spider-Man 2099 instead of Dan Gilvezan. Edge of Time also has a different premise to Shattered Dimensions. Shattered Dimensions was more of a Spider-Verse style story, focusing on the four different dimensions and the characters within. Edge of Time, however, is focused more with, time. Specifically, the chronal link between Amazing and 2099, since they operate on the same timeline. So basically, whenever Amazing Spider-Man changes something in the past, it affects things in the future. It's a pretty cool premise that we'll explore more as we get into the story. Speaking of the story, though, alongside creative director Gerard Leone and Ramiro Bellinger, Beanox decided to hire comic book writer Peter David to pen the story and dialogue for Edge of Time. He was the ideal choice since he co-created Spider-Man 2099, and had also written a comic book where 2099 and the classic Spider-Man enter into each other's time periods and briefly meet in person. It's only one issue, but it forms the backbone of what Beanox were wanting to do in Edge of Time. Amazing Spider-Man and 2099 Spider-Man also contrast each other nicely, which was the goal of Peter David back when he created 2099 in the 90s. 2099 Spider-Man isn't Peter Parker and is instead a different character named Miguel O'Hara, and Peter David wanted to emphasize their differences. In a quote with Games Radar, Peter David describes his thought process for creating Spider-Man 2099. Basically, I inverted the modern-day Spider-Man wherever I could.
Yeah, he's like more angry and serious. Spider-Man is like more, like he'd be joking and stuff. He's not as serious.
Is chatty in costume and reserved as Peter Parker. So I had Spider-Man 2099 be fairly mute in costume and a wisecracker as Miguel. Peter's web spinners were mechanical,
but still,
Miguel's biological.
It's not like Miguel's was...
Peter's wall-crawling abilities...
It's not like Miguel wasn't making like jokes at all, though.
Abilities were never really explained, he just kinda stuck to the wall. Miguel had talons. Peter's spider sense was nearly mystical in nature. Miguel had accelerated vision that enabled him to see things from great distances and practically...
Wait, I mean... Bro, like Tobey Maguire, the movie? Wasn't it those like things that were coming out of his hands and stuff that allowed him to climb? Like... Let me show what I'm talking about. Alright, Tobey Maguire. Climbs wall. Oh wait, right here. Yo. His lips mad red here. It's alright though. Yeah, it was these. These things come out of his hand. Tobey Maguire was so good, bro. This movie was so good. Yes, it was this. This is what makes him climb the walls. Yeah. Up and away, wait. Go, Web, go! Such a good scene.
Go, Web! Fly!
Up and away.
Up and away, Web!
Up and away,
Shazam!
Web. Shazam.
Go! Go! Go, Web, go!
Yo, Tobey Maguire is probably the most, like, one of the most OP, like, Peter Parkers. At least in the movies, because, like, bro, the other ones, they had to, like, make web shooters and stuff. Him, it just comes straight out of him.
Tally ho.
But I'm pretty sure, like, something makes him, like, not, like, if he, like, sometimes his webs don't work. Like, I'm pretty sure it happened in one of the movies. I forget what the reason was. I don't know. Whatever. Let me get back to that one video, though. I just sidetracked a little bit.
360 degrees around him. I think it's helpful to know these differences going into the game, and I also think Peter David was an excellent choice to write it. Spider-Man Edge of Time released in October 2011 for Xbox 360, Wii, PS3, Nintendo DS, and Nintendo 3DS.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, the suits in this game though, bro, they're good. They're good.
This video will be
like with a right here.
I think it's helpful to know these
Yeah, you
differences
see that,
going
like,
into the game, and I also think Peter David was an excellent choice.
I don't know,
to
like
write
that.
it. Spider-Man
You see the
Edge
suit,
of Time
bro.
released
It
in
looks
October
cool.
2011 for Xbox 360, Wii, console
And
versions
then
of the game,
like Amazing
specifically
Spider-Man,
the
he got like
PS3 version,
that
which is
messy
the copy that I
like
played.
webs.
I also used the emulator
on his suit.
RPCS3 to
I
help
don't know, the
boost the
suit's just
graphics,
cool.
and that is
Both
where all
suits
of
are
the
cool.
gameplay that you'll see came from. If you enjoy this video, I'd also appreciate it if you gave it a like, and you can subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. But with that said, let's get into the story.
Eddie Brock, listen to me!
Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Eddie! This isn't you! No!
This isn't you. You're better than this. Sorry. My bad.
Eddie!
We start the story during a crucial moment in time as Amazing Spider-Man battles Anti-Venom. This is curious though, because Anti-Venom isn't really a villain. Even though it looks a lot like Venom and its host is still Eddie Brock, there are some key differences. In the comics, Eddie Brock ended up ditching the Venom symbiote for a while, unaware that some small remnants of it remained in his body. However, after separating from the symbiote, Eddie also developed cancer. Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, at one point put his hand on Eddie's shoulder, causing his power to fuse to the remaining symbiote as well as Brock's white blood cells.
Anti-Venom.
When Venom eventually returned back to Brock, its return triggered the creation of a new symbiote, Anti-Venom. As Anti-Venom, Brock now has full control over the symbiote. He also has the new ability to cure diseases in others, and Eddie uses these powers to help people. So with Eddie Brock a reformed man now, it's surprising to see him trying to kill Spider-Man here.
Yo,
and I think it's a really intriguing
seeing the
way to start
Anti-Venom like suit just made me think of Future Foundation. The Spider-Man suit. Cool suit, cool suit.
the story. We also get hints that Eddie isn't in his right mind, and that Peter is psychically linked to Spider-Man 2099 during this fight. It raises a lot of interesting questions for the player right off the bat, and it immediately got me hooked. Anti-Venom is really intimidating here as well. He's obviously much larger than Spider-Man, but his healing ability is a problem for Spidey too. Since Spider-Man's abilities are radiation-based from that radioactive spider bite, Anti-Venom can cleanse those powers from Peter's body. During this fight, we'll start off pretty strong against Anti-Venom, hitting
Miguel's
him with
isn't
powerful
though.
strikes and using our hypersense to dodge his
His
attacks,
isn't radiation
but as
based.
the fight goes on, he'll start to drain our powers and make us weak. The game makes you play in this weakened state too, as you fumble around aimlessly trying to hit Eddie while he pummels you with massive strikes.
They had me doing that in Metal Gear yesterday too. When Raiden, one of his arms was cut by Sam. You know, just thought I'd say that.
This opening segment is pretty bleak so far, with Anti-Venom getting ready for a kill strike, while 2099 seems to arrive too late to intervene. At this point in time, it looks like we're witnessing the death of Peter Parker, and the cutscene ends with 2099 holding an unconscious Spider-Man in his arms. That's one hell of an opening sequence, and I absolutely love it. It really makes you feel how hopeless Peter's situation is here against Anti-Venom, and I was extremely curious as to what—
1 second, bro. Let me clear chat.
was going on in the story to lead us here. Of course, I knew Peter wasn't actually dead, or at least I strongly assumed that there was no way they'd kill him off, but still, this opening had me hooked and I think it was incredibly well done. I also like how you get glimpses at this before you even start the game as you reach the main menu. Seeing 2099 carrying a defeated Peter Parker is such a striking image, and it really sets the tone going into the game. Even though we're eager to see the fate of Peter Parker, the game won't pick up right after that moment. First, we need to go back in time and see how this all started.
I keep trying to tell myself that I'm just jealous of Walker Sloane's progress. It was only 5 years ago that he first showed up at Alchemax talking about harnessing energy from the fourth dimension. Now he won't stop until he's running the place. I know his type. He's thinking beyond Alchemax, aiming towards who knows what. He's the exact type of corporate monster I've sworn to rein in. Especially if he's mucking with time travel. The year 2099 might not be much, but it's all mine. And he's not been changing. He's been siphoning Alchemax resources into converting the Gateway and the old virtual unreality into something else. Something dangerous. I've tried
I don't know why this reminds me of Tobey Maguire. But, I mean, it doesn't. I think it's just because I was thinking about it because we were just watching that. Bro, I don't know, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm talking a lot, bro. Yo, nah, bro. Tobey Maguire, though, such good movies, bro. And this game, bro, is good.
Talking to him, but he's got no time for Miguel O'Hara. But he will make time for Spider-Man. Just use the convenient access to the ventilation system to get inside, and then Walker and I can have a little chat.
He has no time for Miguel O'Hara.
We pick up with Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, as he breaks into the Alchemax ventilation system to investigate evil scientist Walker Sloane. Miguel's infiltration here also acts as an opening title sequence for the game, and I'm loving how stylistically they integrated the opening credits.
Yes, bro. That's what I was saying, bro.
It's helpful to know more about this character and his world before going further into the game, so let's do that real quick. In 2099, there are no more superheroes like there are in the Amazing Spider-Man's time period, which in 2099 is known as the Heroic Age. Even though there aren't any more superheroes in the future, they're still looked back on fondly, and megacorporation Alchemax hopes to try and replicate some of them using their genetic imprinting technology, one of which is Spider-Man, and their hope is to use the genetic imprint of a spider to recreate him. This brings us to Miguel O'Hara. Miguel was a scientist for Alchemax as part of their genetics division. He was required to do a test on a human subject, which ended up as a failure, causing the subject to horribly mutate and die. Miguel refused to do another one, attempting to hand in his letter of resignation to Alchemax executive Tyler Stone. Instead of accepting Miguel's resignation, Tyler laced his drink with a highly addictive drug called Rapture. Alchemax actually created Rapture, and since they are the sole legal suppliers of the drug, Tyler's goal was to get Miguel addicted to it, forcing him to work for Alchemax forever in order to get his fix. Luckily, Miguel had his own DNA on file in his lab, and his plan was to use his genetic imprinting technology to revert himself back before the Rapture bonded to his DNA. Miguel had another enemy at Alchemax, though, his supervisor, Aaron Delgado. Aaron noticed that Miguel was about to use the genetic imprinting machine, and decided this was a good opportunity to try and kill him. Aaron added in the spider genetic program into the machine as Miguel was entering it, hoping that Miguel would mutate and die the same way as the earlier test subject. To his surprise, Miguel actually survived, with new abilities. For example, Miguel had retractable talons that allow him to stick to walls, and organic webbing. As we saw in that Peter David quote, Miguel doesn't have a spider sense and instead has accelerated vision, allowing him to see in perfect clarity even at a distance, as well as nearly 360 degrees around himself. This allows him to spot incoming attacks easier and react to them. He also has enhanced speed, moving so fast that he can leave a decoy of himself, something we'll utilize a lot in the game. Going back to the game though, Miguel continues his pursuit of Walker Sloan.
This dude really got eyes at the back of his head.
And then we get the voice actor title card for him.
Yo,
wow,
imagine looking around like,
imagine
being able to see.
We'll talk about him more when we get to the audio portion of the video, but if you don't recognize his name, you'll probably know him as the guy who played Batman in Batman Forever.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
As we follow Sloan, we can hear some of the conversation he's having with his AI, and he's essentially describing his whole evil plan. Basically, Sloan has discovered a way to go back in time using a time gate he's developed. Sloan wants to take all the knowledge he has from the future and create Alchemax years before it was originally founded, but this time in his image. This also gives him the opportunity to dismantle any possible competitors before they arise. Sloan also mentions that the CEO of Alchemax won't be happy with Sloan's plan because it would remove him from power, so he's keeping it a secret. Eventually, we reach a point where we can no longer follow Sloan using the vents, so we have to navigate the facility and intercept him in his time research lab. When we eventually get there, it seems we were slightly too late to prevent Sloan from accessing the time gate and beginning his evil scheme. Even though we were only seconds behind, that gave Sloan enough time to alter the past and future in his and Alchemax's image. Miguel realizes this enough in the time research lab and beginning his evil scheme. Even though we were only seconds behind, that gave Sloan enough time to alter the past and future scheme. There, it seems we were slightly too late to...
Holy, this dude is chopped. God damn. Hey man, it is what it is, bruh.
Prevent Sloan from accessing the time gate to alter the uses that everything hinges on the life of Peter Parker, who is the only one who can stop Sloan.
It's changed. Everything's changed. What? It didn't start here. It started back then. Back around Peter Parker's time. And he can't fix it. Because he's gonna be dead.
It's an abomination is what it is. Am I the only newspaper man in the city that realizes what a menace that webhead is?
Oh, Jonah, indoor voice, okay? I'm trying to get Mary Jane on the phone.
People lionizing that freak. Next thing you know, there'll be a musical about him.
Menace.
Chorus line of dancing Spiderman.
I'd pay to see that. Oh, Mary Jane, hi. Go see a show. MJ, I would love to, but I'm working with Dr. Octavius in the genetics lab on a DNA project. I had to download a sample of my own DNA into the permanent Alchemax genetic files. I'm still waiting for some test results.
Permanent files, huh? Great, so 100 years from now we can clone you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, how about I come there and we grab a late dinner afterward, okay, Tiger?
Sure, it's okay. Anything for you, babe. And I love when you call me Tiger. It's like a blast from the past.
Miguel heads to a higher part of the building, and while he's riding the elevator, he has a telepathic conversation with Peter.
Peter Parker.
Who's that? Who's talking?
Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man from 2099.
Are the other me's in my head too?
No, it's just me and you, old-timer.
This moment is also where it became clear to me that this game is in the same continuity as Shattered Dimensions, when Peter asks if the other versions of him are in his head right now. That's definitely a reference to...
This really the only time like you can be called an old timer when like I'm pretty sure Peter here is like pretty young, and dude's just calling him an old timer, cause to him that's an old timer. Honestly though, there's people right now that would probably call a 20-year-old an old timer.
Spider-Man Noir and Ultimate, who we met in the last game. However, this is about as far as the references to the last game go. During this elevator ride, Miguel fills Peter in on what's going on, including the fact that this is the day that he dies. We also learn that Peter has no memory of his life prior to the change, where he worked for the Daily Bugle.
Yo, look at this.
Miguel also tells Peter that he witnessed his death occur on the 66th floor, where Sloan's time gateway is. Miguel obviously wants Peter to avoid that location to prevent his death, but Peter is stubborn.
You've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, I
about
swear this is so
priorities,
dumb,
pal.
bro.
I'm gonna do what I think is right, and that means going after bad guys. You want a Spider-Man who'll do whatever you want? Go play a video game.
This transitions us into playing as the Amazing Spider-Man. Right off the bat, there are a couple fun Easter eggs in this office. We can see Peter's degree from Empire State University, as well as a couple of photos. One of Mary Jane Watson, as well as a photo of Aunt May and Uncle Ben. We can also see the nameplates of a couple of Peter's co-workers, all of which worked at the Daily Bugle with him before Sloane's time tampering. One of which is Betty Brant, receptionist for Jonah in the Daily Bugle. In a What If comic, Betty even became Spider-Girl for an issue. There's also Robbie Robertson, one of the editors at the Daily Bugle. We also have Ben Urich, an investigative journalist. He's a great character in the comics, but you might be more familiar with his character from the Daredevil TV series. And last but not least, a giant billboard outside the window for Jameson's talk radio show. It's good to see that Jonah is a journalist at heart and still finds a way to report the news even when the Daily Bugle doesn't exist. Off to the side is also a sign for Roxxon, an energy corporation in the Marvel Universe. Moving on though, we head outside the office and immediately meet our killer. Anti-Venom sets off an explosion, but also tries to warn us to stay away from him. Peter doesn't listen and continues through the Alchemax building. We make it to what kind of looks like a mall-type area, where Peter tells Miguel his plan. Instead of avoiding Anti-Venom and his potential death, he plans to head to the 66th floor in hopes of intercepting Anti-Venom before he reaches that area. Miguel of course hates that idea, but Peter does what he thinks is right. While we're in this location though, random ads will play over the speakers for different businesses in this new universe. There are a ton of them, and all of them seem to be fun Easter eggs based on Marvel Universe characters and locations. I thought these were really clever, so let's check them out. I'll also put relevant information on screen about the characters that the ads are referencing while we're going through them.
Castle Firearms, for all your home defense needs.
I'm gonna just...
Need a cab, call 1555 Spectre. Damage control, when danger breaks, we fix it. Kingpin bowling, get out of the gutters. Matt Murdock, criminal law, don't take a case sight unseen. Long Lake Medical Associates, our boss, don't bring the hammer down. X-Factor investigations, when your case is just too weird. King Marco demolishing.
I remember this.
Beatox, you're honey, that's how these means.
Jennifer Walters, accept no substitutes. For a good time, call Lila. Susan Richards lingerie, guaranteed see-through. Madame Medusa Salon, bring your hair to life. Stark Fujikawa, not to be trusted. Alchemax, you're everywhere we need to be. New Asgard, we treat you like a god.
Oh, Jameson, if not now, when? Flying Ben Grimm Airlines, not the same old thing.
The guys watching you. Join the Thorite Church and feel the thunder. Gabriel O'Hara, bringing your dreams to holographic life.
Visit beautiful Atlantis, the real land down under. Tune in to Dr. Leonard Sampson nights. He's listening.
I love that all of these were included, and they're really fun references to the wider Marvel Universe.
It's cool.
The Easter egg ads in Shattered Dimensions were some of my favorite parts, so I'm glad Beanox incorporated more for Edge of Time. But as we continue through the building, Anti-Venom attempts to kill Peter with an elevator. He's unsuccessful, but Miguel then tells us that the elevator he was riding on just became a closet. This is our first experience with how the past is affecting the future, and it will play a major role throughout the rest of the game. Speaking of which, Miguel's path is blocked by a force field, so Peter heads to a security mainframe in his time and destroys it. It removes the force field from Miguel, but instead adds a giant security robot for him to fight. The robot is proving to be too much for Miguel to handle, so Peter heads to the Robotic Research Division of Alchemax to destroy it before it's operational. This level does a good job at illustrating the cause and effect gameplay style of Edge of Time, since every time we dismantle part of the robot, we can see it taking some sort of effect in Miguel's time. Once we rip its head off, the robot disappears completely from Miguel, but is replaced with a new threat, this time a swarm of robot soldiers. This is a lot more manageable though, and this is where our gameplay transitions back to 2099. After taking out all of the guards, we continue making our way through the Alchemax building. Miguel's goal is to reach the 66th floor in his time in hopes of helping Peter somehow. Miguel is currently on a much higher floor, so he decides to freefall through the building as a quick way to reach that level. This is the first of multiple freefall gameplay sections that we'll get to play, much like the ones from Shattered Dimensions. You'll freefall and have to avoid colliding with objects in your path, and you can also boost Miguel's falling speed to reach the destination faster. The freefall sections in the last game weren't my favorite, and I can't say that I enjoyed them much here either, honestly. They're pretty cool visually, but my main issue is that Miguel doesn't control all that well here. He kind of felt floaty as I tried to move him around, making it trickier.
Honestly, I said this yesterday too, I'm pretty sure. I felt like they were good, bro. The free falls were not bad. I felt like they were good.
Here to be precise. He'd often move farther than I anticipated, causing me to crash into objects. I didn't hate the freefall sections, but I never got to a point where I felt comfortable with how he controlled, which kind of ruined the experience. Nevertheless, we make it to the 66th floor, but it can never be that easy. A random robot guard appears and blows up the platform we're standing on, causing us to freefall some more past multiple levels. Miguel manages to web himself to a wall, and we have to crawl our way back up. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of the freefall sections, I did think these wall crawling segments were pretty cool. You have to make your way along this linear path without touching
not lie,
edges,
bro.
or else you'll take damage.
They
Along the way,
weren't
security
that.
turrets will pop up, and you have to web
They
them
were
while
like,
trying to quickly make your way up this wall. It's
I don't
simple,
know,
but I
bruh.
enjoyed it. The wall crawling controls pretty smooth
You're
in this game
alright.
too, which I think helped to make the experience more enjoyable as well. While we were attempting to recover lost ground, we learn that Peter is nearly to the 66th floor and won't slow down to let us catch up. Even worse, he's spotted Anti-Venom and is in pursuit. By the time that we finally make our way back up to the 66th floor, Peter is already face to face with Anti-Venom. It seems that Brock is being mind-controlled to fight Spider-Man and is trying to resist the urge. Brock eventually runs off, and we're back to playing as Peter. Our goal now is to try and find Brock again in hopes of freeing him from whatever is controlling him. After fighting our way through more enemies and traversing more of Alchemax, we eventually meet back up with Eddie at the Time Bridge.
Back off, Eddie! You're a puppet! Fight the puppet master, not me!
Difficult.
Damn, bro, he mad skinny. That's coming from me.
You're doing.
I know enough. You have to die.
Or we both can live!
You think you're so much better
No.
than I am. Acting like you're so worried about me.
I'm worried about what you'll do to
Bro,
other
I'm
people.
saying, look at the like webbing on his suit, bro. I swear, this suit is good, bro.
And yeah, to me. But if you can fight it...
He can't.
And the eyes.
Oh yeah, I
symbol.
always trust people who are trying to kill me. So you're the head lunatic. Well, we haven't been
Yeah,
properly
bro, this suit is
introduced.
so good.
I'm the guy who's gonna stop your plans.
Good luck with that. Anti-venom? Finish
Yo,
him.
imagine if they like added this to like
Impressive
one of the
resistance,
Insomniac Spider-Man
but
games.
activating all the control chips, releasing your more bestial side, should do the trick.
This brings us to a similar boss fight to the one we experienced at the start of the game, where we fight one-on-one against Anti-Venom. The most effective ability we have against him is our Hypersense, which is essentially our dodge mechanic. When you press the left trigger, you'll activate Hypersense mode and see multiple phasing versions of yourself, which indicate your quick reflexes as you passively dodge attacks. While it's active, you can't be damaged, but it's not infinite since it will end once this bar fully drains, this bar being our stamina meter. Also, you might be wondering why it's called Hypersense and not Spider-Sense, since that's Peter's trademark ability. Well, I think it's mostly because Anti-Venom is immune to Peter's Spider-Sense in the comics, so it'd be weird if we could use it against him in the game. The Spider-Sense is still featured though, but it's basically detective vision from the Batman Arkham games, allowing you to see objectives and area of interest. Hypersense is still really effective against Anti-Venom though, since you can dodge out of the way of his bigger attacks, leaving him open for additional damage.
Hypersense is cool, but bro, the dodging in Shattered Dimensions though. But I mean, Hypersense is cool though.
Fight feeling incredibly powerful, and we're able to deal a lot of damage to Anti-Venom early on, but unfortunately for us, he has the ability to fully heal himself during the fight. This starts to make the battle feel insurmountable, but despite everything, Peter manages to get the upper hand on Anti-Venom and launch him into the other room. Assuming that Brock is now down for the count, Peter takes a moment to gloat to Miguel.
Miguel, good news. Turns out you were wrong. Hope that doesn't wound your ego.
What, you think if you die, I'll be happy to be right?
Well, I don't think you're happy to be wrong.
Well, then you know as little about me as you think I know about you.
What I know is that Brock looks to be down for the count.
Peter definitely jinxed himself though, as Anti-Venom sneaks up on him and starts to drain all of his powers. This does quite a number on Peter, and for us as the player, we can no longer use our Hypersense ability. Without our ability to dodge his attacks now, he pretty much wipes the floor with us. Peter is in a very weakened state, not even able to stand, as we transition back to Miguel, who is frantically trying to find a way to save him now. Miguel isn't exactly close to reaching the time gate though, as he still has multiple rooms to clear before he's there. As we're fighting our way through these rooms, we'll occasionally hear from Peter as he slowly tries to crawl away from Anti-Venom.
Bro, even in Shattered Dimensions, in this game too, bro, Spider-Man 2099 just has a run, bro. Like let me show it.
Way through these rooms, we'll occasionally as he still has
Yeah,
multiple rooms to clear before he's there. As we're fighting our way through these rooms, we'll occasionally hear from Peter as he slowly tries to crawl away from Anti-Venom. It really feels like the curtains are about to close on Peter Parker, and it definitely made these levels feel more tense, as I wanted to make it to the time gate as quickly as possible. This section isn't timed, and I know it's all scripted, but I think it's a compliment to the writing so far that I still felt invested in trying to get to Peter quickly, the way Miguel would. I will admit though that I did stop to collect some hidden golden spiders along the way, so sorry Peter. Eventually, we switch back to playing as Peter. At this point, he's in a pretty pitiful state, barely able to stand, and the best thing you can do as an attack is essentially a slap. The developers make you play through this moment too, which I think was a great idea. I'm sure it was tempting to just show a cutscene of weakened Peter getting wrecked by Anti-Venom, but having you play as Peter in this moment really makes you empathize with the state that he's in. As you're playing, you're still trying to find a way to beat Anti-Venom despite the odds, the same way Peter would be, but you start to understand that there really is no hope now, and that his only chance is Miguel. Anti-Venom then knocks you back into the room with the time gate, pretty much signaling that Miguel's vision of Peter's death is about to come true. Even more, you're still playing as Peter as you attempt to crawl away from Anti-Venom. It's all very dramatic in a good way, and I'm still invested in what will happen next.
Come on, Spidey. Hold it together. Just another few seconds. Just get your strength back.
I got you, Spider-Man.
No, not this time.
Yeah, bro, we punched him mad hard.
We then play as Miguel as he carries Peter in his arms, the same way we saw in the main menu. Miguel is taking Peter to a cellular regeneration pod, hoping to bring him back to full health. Meanwhile, we see what Sloan is up to now that his plan's been foiled, and we even get to see Otto Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus. Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus.
Alright. Now
What have you got me into the middle of, Walker? I'm just a scientist, for the love of...
Stop whining, Octavius. You knew I was out to change the future.
I didn't know the future was going to start fighting back. The forces we're unleashing with this quantum tunnel...
It's under control.
It's out of control, and Spider-Man is still alive to stop it.
We'll just send Anti-Venom after him. The gateway just...
Yo, he reminds me of Simon Stagg.
We'll just...
I have so much money, even Batman won't be able to stop us. I swear he sounds the same.
Control.
It's out of control, and Spider-Man is still alive to stop it.
We'll just send Anti-Venom after him.
He sounds like Simon Stagg.
The gateway just needs a minute to recharge if it's going to send him through safely.
Even though he looks like the Dr. Octopus from the comics, this is a different version of Otto due to Sloan changing reality. This version of Otto is employed by Alchemax and more of a whiny scientist than an intimidating supervillain. We don't even get to fight him in the game, but more on his role a little bit later. For now, we return to Miguel, who is placing Peter inside the pod when he hears the alarm of the time gate going off. Anti-Venom is woken back up and is ready to charge through the portal. Instead, Miguel jumps through to take him on. This leads to a boss fight between Miguel and Anti-Venom, and it is incredibly satisfying to go full throttle on Anti-Venom again, especially after being thrown around by him so much in Peter's weakened state. Miguel has a big advantage over Anti-Venom as well, since he can't drain Miguel's powers. Miguel's powers are DNA-based and not radioactive-based like Peter's, so Anti-Venom can't rely on that crutch. Miguel's accelerated vision also comes in very handy here too. In the game, it's the same button as Peter's hypersense, but it functions differently. It operates kinda like super speed, where Miguel moves so quickly that he can be in two places at once. Triggering his accelerated vision leaves a decoy of himself that enemies will attempt to fight, while the real Miguel is free to roam as he pleases. In this case, you can fake out Anti-Venom when he charges you, and then sneak up on him from behind for some extra damage. It's really fun to do, and this fight feels great. However, there's still the problem of Anti-Venom's ability to self-heal. Even though he can still effectively heal during this fight, his regenerating brings the mind control devices to the surface, allowing Miguel to yank them off one by one. At one point, we're able to trick Anti-Venom into crashing into one of these side doors, which is the same room that Peter is being held in the future. Coincidentally, this is also the moment that some zombie-like failed mutation experiments break free and try to get into Peter's pod. In order to stop them in the future, we have to lure Anti-Venom into breaking these pods in the past. I like this section a lot, and I think it's one of the better uses of the quantum causality or cause and effect gameplay style throughout the story. It's fun watching as the mutated beings disappear one by one as Anti-Venom slowly destroys their pods, removing them from existence. But after this, we return back to the main room to finish our fight against Anti-Venom. After removing the final control chip, return back to these Anti-Venom slowly destroys their pods, removing them from existence. But after this, we return back to the main room to finish our fight against Anti-Venom. After removing the final control chip, he turns his attention to his true enemy, Walker Sloan.
Matter of fact, let me join
Walker Sloan.
29 with that web.
Removing the final control chip, he turns his attention to his true enemy, Walker Sloan.
You did it to me. Planted that chip in me. Controlled me.
I didn't control you, Brock. I freed you.
Man, shut up, bro.
You wanted Spider-Man dead.
Atrocity.
You should be thanking me.
show you just how grateful I am!
No! Keep back! One side, you fool! Before...
Although this seems like a win, it's only the beginning of our problems. It seems that going through the portal at the same time.
1 second. My bad, y'all.
Caused Anti-Venom, Sloane, and Doc Ock to all merge into one being, so we'll have to deal with that later. For now, we return back to Peter as he wakes up from the cellular regeneration pod. It takes him a moment to catch his bearings, but he's fully healed and back to his old self. He returns back to the time gate to swap places with Miguel, but it appears that the return circuits are fried on his end. Since Miguel is now in the past and the technology doesn't exist there yet, he needs Peter to go retrieve some and throw them through the portal. As we're leaving, our path gets blocked by a giant symbiote tentacle. It seems that Anti-Venom can portal his new tentacles anywhere he wants, and it'll show up frequently to block our path throughout the game. Luckily, it's easily defeated by firing some web bullets at the center of it. Regardless, we continue through Alchemax in search of the circuits. Peter and Miguel have regular conversations as we traverse the various rooms of Alchemax, and during one of them we get an Easter egg reference for different Marvel characters that have died and come back in the comics.
Jean Grey, that's one of them. I know.
By the way,
I remember that.
Thanks for bringing me back from the dead. Now I know how Captain America feels.
Yeah,
and Jean Grey. And Colossus. And
just don't die again and we'll call it even.
That list could probably go on for quite a while, so it's good Miguel cut him off when he did. Continuing on though, we eventually reach the area where the parts are. There are only 3 of them, but Miguel warns us that if we let them touch, they're atomic and could cause a deadly explosion, enough to crater the city. Easy enough, right? Don't let them touch. Well, thanks to the old Parker luck, Peter collects all 3 and they accidentally make contact. So we have to return back to Miguel in under 2 minutes so he can stop them from exploding. This actually is a time trial and we have to traverse the next few rooms quickly.
Let me check, I'm just checking Twitch, seeing who's live right now, you know. You know how it is. Oh yeah, Arc Raiders dropped. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, when I played that game on stream, I wasn't having fun, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I just wasn't having fun. Felt like the game was a little bit too like, I felt like I wasn't really doing much, like nothing was really going on. But hey, the game is out. The game is out. But I also think I wasn't even playing it right. I don't think I was, probably. Like I wasn't really doing much. I didn't know what to do. So.
While also dealing with the random symbiote tentacles that show up to slow us down. I usually don't like time trials, but I think this one is pretty fun. The timer helped to up the tension, but I still felt like I had enough time to complete the mission comfortably. But now that we're back at the portal, we throw the parts to Miguel and he puts them in place. Of course, he's still not getting enough power to the portal for some reason, so he has to head to the archives room in hopes of finding an answer. After many more combat rooms and a couple more freefall sections, Miguel makes it to the archives room, but it's locked using voice recognition. Miguel has no way in, so he needs Peter to head to the archives room in his time to see if he can find the solution there. Peter actually likes this idea
this scene was so good.
He can view the archived information of his loved ones to see how they died, to help him prevent them from happening when he returns to the past. Miguel hates the idea of Peter tampering with time any further, and tells him not to access that information. Peter begrudgingly agrees and heads to the archive room.
Yeah,
okay,
but this scene is so good.
How do I access it?
Enter my password. Lila. L-Y-L-A.
Access denied.
Oh, great. You got any other ideas?
Let me think.
I wish I could just say open sesame or grant me access.
This scene had character development too, I'm pretty sure.
Granted.
That was weird. Okay, let's go over the startup procedures.
Slow down, Parker. It's not that simple.
Did you fire up the quark enhancers? Activate the tachyon relays?
Yes, I did all that. No, you just...
Uncouple the Heisenberg compensators.
Yes, of course I... Oh, shuck it. No, I didn't.
I was right. Wow. Oh no.
What's wrong?
It's Mary Jane. She dies. Tonight. Right there at Alchemax.
How do you know? For shock's sake, Parker, what part of don't poke around in the archives was unclear?
Fine, I'm a nosy Parker, but now that I found out, it's
what? My job to save her? I've got enough to deal with.
You can't mean that. You can't just ignore that she's in danger.
Hey, I'm trying to focus on what's important.
What's important is not standing by and allowing someone to suffer or die because you do nothing. If you don't get that, then you don't get the first thing about being Spider-Man.
You're the one who doesn't get it, Parker. The future depends on...
My future is meaningless without her.
This is gonna be a huge mistake.
I owe you, Miguel.
Josh Keaton.
Shocking right.
Oh my god, bro, I keep voice cracking. Josh Keaton went crazy.
The score for everything the world owes you.
Thank you. I mean that.
Bro. God damn, clock it, bro.
If people I love are going to be in danger, then I need to be there to help them.
As it is. My bad. Black Cat, it's you.
Holy, it is her.
We'll save the reveal for who that mystery voice was for a bit longer, but for now we play as Miguel
that
as he
ain't no
attempts
mystery
to find Mary
voice.
Jane in the Alchemax.
That's Black Cat.
The symbiote tentacles are really getting out of hand though, and are popping up everywhere. They're easy enough for us to handle, but not so much for Mary Jane, and they keep leading her away from us. Finally, we find Mary Jane hiding out in an elevator. As I'm sure you've predicted, this was a terrible place to hide, and the tentacles drop it to the ground. This leads to another freefall section, but this one's my favorite. Maybe it's just the anxiety of Spider-Man attempting to save a fallen girl and it ending like Gwen Stacy again, but I really felt the pressure to rescue Mary Jane here. It's really tense as you're trying to dodge the tentacles and catch back up to the free-falling elevator, especially with Peter freaking out in your ear occasionally. The controls still detracted from the experience a bit for me, but overall, I felt really adrenalized in this level, and I think it was really well done. After a while, we catch up to Mary Jane and rescue her from the elevator. Miguel then carries her to safety as we swap back to Peter.
Thanks again, Miguel.
Enough with the thanks. You ready?
Come home? You bet.
And leave me again? How much rejection is a girl supposed to take?
Black Cat? I was praying I was wrong. Felicia, what if they...
Help me, Spider. They gave me an anti-aging drug. For decades, made me over.
Spider sense going nuts.
Good dodge, bro.
The real Felicia,
She would have
Yo,
never
that
let
remind
them-
me of the
never let
Shattered
them what?
Dimensions
Turn
dog,
me into
brother.
this?
Feel
You
me?
destroyed me, Spider.
Man.
After what you did, I didn't care what happened to me.
I don't know what you're talking
Still
about.
annoyed about that, bro.
The
That
surprise
dodging
reveal
was
is of
so
course
good.
Black Cat in the year 2099, and she'll act as another boss fight. This 2099 version of Black Cat isn't from the comics though, and was an original creation for the game. The in-game files give
5% isn't
details
bad,
on her
though, it's just,
backstory,
you know.
and essentially this is a clone of the original Black Cat. Alchemex got their hands on the original Black Cat's DNA and mixed it with the DNA of actual cats, the villain Tigra, and a gene from the character
In Shattered Dimensions, did Amazing even have an ability? Amazing Spider-Man? I don't even think he had an ability. Like, I think it was just the other Spider-Man. Did Noir have one? I don't think Noir had one. I think it was just Symbiote and 2099. Yeah, it could have been added on to that, bro. Like they could have gave Spider-Man ability, that being a high percentage, and the dodge for both. It is what it is, bro.
Vanisher,
It is what
which
it
allows
is.
this Black Cat to teleport.
Newspaper.
She also has the memory and a gene from the
Mysterio
character
to direct
Vanisher,
Spider-Man
which allows
biopic.
this Black Cat, which is why she was drawn to Peter here. She clearly blames Peter for all of her problems though, which doesn't quite make sense yet, but we'll learn why that is a little bit later on. This is pretty much just the warm-up battle against her though, since she teleports away before being fully defeated. This room is pretty interesting itself too, because it houses some statues of villains we faced in Shattered Dimensions.
That room with the suits.
Namely, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio,
not this one,
Juggernaut,
but-
and Silver Sable, although she wasn't really a villain in that game. After leaving the room,
Shattered
we start to head
Dimensions?
back to the portal,
I mean,
and
yeah,
the big
she wasn't-
reveal happens.
I'm en route to the gateway.
I mean,
tell me when you're there
she's
as well.
going after
You have
Juggernaut
to time
and
this
Word
right.
too.
You got it, Miguel.
Oh, how nice. You and your counterpart are on a first-name basis now. It's good to know you've bonded.
Who are you?
I'm the CEO of Alchemax.
She had them in front of you, dude.
The real question is, who are you, old friend?
Old friend. So this is where you make the big
I like that.
reveal, and I say, "Holy cow, Norman Osborn, or the Kingpin, Jonah Jameson." Come on, please be Jameson.
All of
I'm
them
you.
long dead, I fear. Too bad they didn't have access to the anti-aging drug we developed.
I
Does wonders for
you.
you. And I do mean you.
You.
No, it can't be.
Can't be, yes. Why do people always say that? Good thing your future counterpart saved us, eh? Otherwise, we couldn't be this.
I become the evil mastermind?
Oh, don't be melodramatic. With great power comes great responsibility and great opportunity. And the only way to live up to all that responsibility is to use every opportunity to get all the power. I learned that the day I lost everyone I loved and didn't have the power to stop it.
What do you mean, everyone?
You'll find out. Except once I've fixed reality, you actually won't find out. Consider yourself lucky.
Peter, it's up and running, but it's not tremendously stable. Where are you?
I think I'm in hell. The CEO. It's me.
Bro, he even got that villainous voice, bro. Damn, bro, he's deep, bro. He's too deep in now. Now he's really just a villain.
What? That's insane. How can that be? Holy shock! Peter, now! Move!
Let me explain it all to you.
Explain it to my rapidly retreating backside.
Bro, I
So
kind of
yeah,
wanted to
future
hear what
Peter
he was gonna
Parker
say.
is the CEO. This is the
Sorry,
reason
though.
why Black Cat was so pissed at us earlier, because the original Black Cat was promised that anti-aging serum. In the game files, it states that Black Cat signed her life away to Alchemex for the anti-aging serum, which is how they obtained her DNA. The original Black Cat apparently escaped, but this clone version still remembers and holds a grudge. Future Peter was the one who developed the anti-aging serum, so it must have been him who betrayed her. Peter used the serum on himself as well, and the files state that the serum hasn't meshed well with the radiation in his blood, and is having a negative impact on his thought process, explaining why he's so villainous in the game. But yeah, Future Peter is the new CEO and will be the main villain for the rest of the game. This is a pretty good twist, since I assumed we'd be dealing with Walker Sloan the entire game, especially since he's voiced by Val Kilmer. Nevertheless, we walk into the next room, which is the CEO's secret archives. There are a lot of cool things to find in here too. To start, we can find a bunch of
This
different
game had a lot of like details and like callbacks to things. Bro, it's cool.
Spider-Man suits from the comics, all of which are unlockable in the game, so more on those later. However, there is one secret suit that you can pull up from the ground that's not from the comics, but we'll discuss that one later on too. There are also some old
Iron
newspapers
Spider.
mentioning Spider-Man and different events he was involved in.
But it's not like the
one of them shows
Iron Man one. It's like the Peter, the boss one.
was a screenshot from Shattered Dimensions, which I think was a fun inclusion. The newspapers mentioning his fights against Sandman and Juggernaut could also be nods to the first game as well. Further into the room are some more things Sandman from Shattered Dimensions, which I think was...
This one's the Juggernaut fight, I'm pretty sure. That's Silver Sable's henchman.
A fun inclusion. The newspapers mentioning his fights against Sandman and Juggernaut.
On the waterfront, remembering Spider-Man.
Juggernaut could also be nods to the first game as well. Further into the room are some more things to look at. On the left side, there are more images of Peter and Mary Jane, as well as a photo of Aunt May and Uncle Ben.
Wait,
on the left could also be nods.
Could this one right here, the waterfront, could this be about like the fight against Electro? Because weren't they fighting on like a dam in Shattered Dimensions? Could be. You never know.
To the first game as Peter and Mary Jane, as well as a photo of Aunt May and Uncle Ben. On the right side are some additional photos, as well as a magazine cover featuring Mary Jane. I like how they snuck some Easter eggs on the magazine too. In the center it says 616 plus ways to make your costume look like more than just tights, which is a reference to the multiverse. There are an infinite number of Marvel universes, but it's said that the classic Marvel universe from the comics is the 616 universe, so that's the joke there. There's some other little nods on this cover as well, although it's kind of tough to make them out since they're kind of blurry. Right here it says something about stormy weather, with the bottom text being X-Men in bold, so I'm assuming this is something about the hero Storm.
1 second. Alright, 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back.
After that is also the mention of the character Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch of the Fantastic Four. There's also this section that says, "An ultimatum wave for your skin." This is likely a reference to the ultimatum wave that flooded New York City during the Ultimatum story arc caused by Magneto. Then the last thing in the room is a Spider-Man suit front and center. That just so happens to be the tattered suit that we're wearing right now, which raises the question, why did future Peter decide to showcase this suit in particular? Something pivotal must have happened while he was wearing this suit, which is definitely a red flag. After perusing through the CEO stuff, we continue forward towards the time gate. Along the way, we reach a locked door, and a certain someone holds the key. This means we're in for a more legitimate boss fight against Black Cat and her clones. Ultimately, she's not too difficult, but she does provide a decent challenge. She's incredibly acrobatic and can attack with a flurry of strikes. Our hypersense is key here again, since we have to time it for when she performs her bigger attacks, leaving her open. After dealing enough damage, she'll teleport to another platform, and we have to follow her there.
I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember this. It was like, when you fight Black Cat, say you got to like, the second fight against her, if you die on that one, you gotta go all the way back to the first one, bro. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, though.
You pretty much repeat this process a couple more times until you finally defeat her.
That's just from my memory.
It was
but like I said,
old
I could
times,
be wrong.
wasn't it, Peter? And I know it wasn't my old times. Not really. But it was as close as I was ever going to get. Be honest. Was I good?
You were great. Better than the original.
Maybe don't tell MJ about that near kiss, Peter.
Peter, bro.
Overall, I thought she was a pretty decent boss fight.
You got
I
a
like the
girlfriend,
combat
bro.
in this game, and her fight allowed me to engage with it in a more substantial way, so I enjoyed it. She doesn't exactly feel integral to the plot, though, and instead feels like a tacked-on boss fight. I like her inclusion, and I think they gave her a cool backstory, but I wish she didn't feel so shoehorned in. She randomly shows up out of nowhere, we fight her a couple times, and then after beating her, she just disappears, never to be seen again. I don't think Peter even mentions her to Miguel, so I can't help but feel like she was included last minute when they realized there weren't enough boss fights in the game. Regardless, I still enjoy the levels that she's in, and I think she's a good boss fight, so I wouldn't cut her out. But now that Black Cat is out of our way, we continue to the portal to meet up with Miguel.
I think he said to Miguel something like he met up with an old friend or something like that. I don't know, though. I think it was something along the lines of that, though.
Miguel. With the portal fully operational, Peter and Miguel jump through at the same time and return to their original time periods. They make it back successfully, but something else followed Peter. The fusion of Dr. Octopus, Anti-Venom, and Walker Sloan presents itself and looks downright terrifying. Peter comes up with the perfect name for it, though.
Tentacles.
Atrocity.
They were coming from some kind of... I don't know what this atrocity is. In fact, that's what I'm gonna call it. Atrocity. Because big
God
scary
damn,
tentacle
bro,
monster
Thunder
thing
thighs.
takes way too long to say.
Them legs.
Oh, that and Fing Fang Foom's thing.
Peter, again, focus. The quantum bridge is building on itself, like a hurricane.
The name Fing Fang Foom is another Easter egg reference, this time to a giant dragon in the Marvel Universe. As far as Atrocity, he's an original creation for this game, but I can't help but get vibes from the PS1 Spider-Man game, which featured a character called Monsterok, the combination of Carnage and Dr. Octopus. They're so similar that I have to assume Atrocity was inspired by that game in some way. Regardless, I love how creepy and grotesque Atrocity looks here. Not only do they have Atrocity to deal with, but Miguel also notices that the
I love how like the villains are like unique in this game.
Portal is overloading, and he needs to find a way to fix it. Not knowing exactly how to handle either problem, he decides to head to the Parascience Research Lab in Alchemax. Luckily for us, a wormhole magically appears in the room, allowing us to teleport straight into that lab. That's about as much luck as we can count on here though, since the area that we end up in feels like it's straight out of a horror scene. At one point, Miguel needs to push 4 DNA data carts into a center station, which wakes up a bunch of those zombie-like failed test subjects. It turns out that they feed on the energy from these data
Looking like
carts,
the
so we'll have to
lunatics
protect
from,
each one from being destroyed by the test
Arkham
subjects,
Asylum.
meaning that we'll be fighting swarms of these creepy-ass dudes this entire level. I actually like this mission a lot, though. Fighting a larger volume of enemies was a fun challenge entire level. I actually like the test subjects, meaning that we'll be fighting swarms of these creepy-ass dudes this entire level.
Damn.
I actually like...
Yeah, I don't know why, I just thought he didn't swear or something. I'm not saying you can't or nothing, but it just kind of caught me off guard.
This mission a lot, though.
That you swear.
Fighting a larger volume of enemies was a fun challenge, and having
Swear,
to protect
bro.
the DNA carts helped to ratchet up the intensity. Each new cart adds more enemies, and I like the challenge progression. And you know me, I always like levels with a creepy atmosphere like this one. After locking in all 4 carts, the analysis is complete. Miguel just needs one last piece of the puzzle, though, a DNA sample from Atrocity. That's where Peter comes in, so we switch back to him. Peter needs to find a DNA recorder to collect the sample, so we'll explore Alchemex for a while trying to hunt one down. One of the rooms we go to is a biogenetics lab, which holds a pretty cool Easter egg. Scattered around the room are a bunch of stasis containers holding some kind of organic material. They all pretty much look the same, except for one, which happens to contain Flint Marko, the Sandman.
Bro,
Amazing Spider-Man fought him in the last game, and it seems he's somehow wound up here.
2099
Kind of a sad
and,
fate for Sandman, but I'm
Amazing
sure he'll
Spider-Man
break
runs
free.
kinda like
While we're exploring Alchemex in search of the
run,
DNA
like, kinda
recorder,
weird.
we go through some vents to get to the next room. Suddenly, Atrocity grabs us from below and yanks us towards him. Peter manages to break free and escape to a random room to catch his breath. This scuffle with Atrocity
Bro,
also
when
left
he's
Peter's
like-
costume in a more damaged state, and I just want to mention that I think it's a really cool detail to have Peter's suit take progressively more damage as the game goes on. I know it was already done in Batman Arkham Asylum, but it's fun to watch it here too. Also, the reason why Miguel's costume never takes damage the same way Peter's does is because his is made of unstable molecules, so it's much harder to damage. This also allows him to freely use his talons without tearing through the gloves. Another fun fact about Miguel's costume is that it wasn't crafted to be a Spider-Man suit. After he got his powers, he needed to find something in his apartment quickly to conceal his identity. The best thing he could find was an old outfit he wore during a Day of the Dead celebration. This is why his iconography looks more skull-based. But anyway, Peter is able to find the DNA recorder in his room, so we're ready to collect a sample. Now comes the hard part though, as we have to find a way to subdue Atrocity long enough to get a sample. Our goal here is to maneuver Atrocity into the gas chamber in the room, buying us some time to extract a sample. That was easy enough, but of course, one sample isn't enough and we have to collect 2 more. The problem now is that we've really pissed Atrocity off, and we learn that he can also teleport. The strategy is pretty much the same though, lure him into the chamber and lock him in before he can grab us. We do this a couple more times until we collect all 3 DNA samples. I don't know if I just lucked out, but this level felt pretty easy. I actually still really enjoyed it though, because it was pretty hair-raising hearing Atrocity chasing behind you as you try to race through the gas chamber before he grabs you. So I like the tension and the atmosphere of the level, and I appreciate that it wasn't just another straight-up combat boss fight. With all the data uploaded to the system though, Miguel is able to properly read it now.
No wonder I couldn't get a read. That thing's a combination of Sloan, Octavius, and Anti-Venom. They must have mutated into that thing when they were shoved through.
My god. Any weaknesses?
At a guess? High voltage. Right now, they're supercharged with quantum particles. If we can reverse the polarity of the gateway and shove it back through, the quantum feedback could reverse the time storm.
Why reverse it, Miguel, when we can use it?
You know who I...
Of course. He knows, so I know. Miguel, you're on the wrong side of this. I'm not the villain here. I'm the guy who's trying to make everything right. Don't you get it?
Apparently I don't.
When the storm is fully unleashed, I'm going to harness the quantum energy. It will give me complete control over the time stream.
What, are you trying to play God?
The first creation of the universe wasn't bad. For a first draft. I'm just going to provide a much-needed rewrite. I can make up for my original sin by saving Uncle Ben. Not to mention Gwen Stacy, her dad, countless others. What kind of villain fixes it so that everyone gets to live happily ever after?
You're talking about power no human should have. You'll end up destroying yourself, but not before you've annihilated everything else.
Well then, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. This discussion is over.
It's over when I say it's over!
This takes us into another freefall level, sending us far away from the CEO. Miguel now has a bone to pick with the CEO, and needs to find a way to get back up there. Luckily, we land near the Gravity Control Center, which when powered on, sends us back up the way we came. This is a pretty cool transition as we're now free-falling upwards, although it plays pretty much the same way as any other freefall section. Still, it's kinda trippy to know we're going up this whole time. We then switch to Peter, who is making his way to the Time Gate. Along the way, we discover that Atrocity is alive and well, and is in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, Miguel has made his way up to the CEO's tower and is ready to confront him. After fighting through a bunch of his guards, we make our way through a long hallway to his door. While we're walking, Peter calls in to give us a tip he learned from Captain America.
Okay, listen, don't even bother trying to get at him from behind. His spider sense gives him the edge. But Captain America once told me that I put too much into my combo attacks and leave myself open for a few moments after them. I know I shouldn't, but I do.
Thanks, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, just don't let the bad guys know.
We'll definitely need to use that tip, since when we finally reach the CEO's room, he basically calls us out for a fight, in of all places, the Gateway Room, where almost all of the boss fights have taken place. At least the game is self-aware of it.
The older you is some piece of work.
Why? What happened?
Meeting up in the Gateway Room. I'm really starting to hate that place. But, like you said, it began there, and it's gonna end there.
While Miguel begins his descent towards the Gateway Room, Peter begins his confrontation with Atrocity. Even though I've been throwing some minor shade towards the game for reusing the same locations for all boss fights, this is a pretty cool final showdown. Atrocity is an imposing force, and you can't damage him until you've dealt with his tentacles. Our strategy here is to web up the tentacles and then bait him into latching onto this electric pillar. This will stun Atrocity, giving us a moment to deal some damage before he breaks free. After dealing enough damage, Peter will break off a couple of the tentacles and launch them into the portal. Meanwhile, Miguel arrives to the gateway, and we transition into his boss fight against the CEO. The CEO has fitted himself with a giant spider exosuit, something Miguel compares to Iron Man and Iron Spider. Iron Spider being a reference to the suit Iron Man made for Peter back during the Civil War comic run. During our fight, Atrocity's tentacles
That's in Edge
reappear,
of Time.
and we use them to our advantage.
I'm
We
pretty
can
sure.
lure the CEO into diving onto them, subduing him and Symbiote long enough for us to get some hits in. We'll do this a couple more times, and then we'll switch back to Peter's fight with Atrocity. The gateway is starting to get out of control, and harmful energy is pooling onto the ground. This leads to a floor is lava kind of situation,
This was a good fight
where we have
from
to
my
avoid
memory.
touching the ground and damage Atrocity from the sky. The strategy is still pretty much the same though, as we need to get him to latch his
what was
tentacles
it?
onto this electric
Cool
pillar,
guys don't look
stunning
at
him and
explosions,
momentarily
or something
draining
like
enough
that.
power from the portal that we can stand on
I
the
don't
ground
know.
again to hit him. After dealing more damage, Peter removes the final 2 tentacles, and we're back to playing as Miguel. Tentacles are still emerging from the ground, but that's actually a good thing for us. We can lure the CEO next to one and then damage it, causing it to lash out against him, which gives us an opportunity to attack. That's pretty much what we'll do for this whole phase of the fight, before returning back to Peter. The portal is now trying to suck things in, so our goal is to try and push Atrocity back through the portal.
Did it! Miguel, it's over! I thought it was over!
He thinks it's over, doesn't he? Don't see any fat ladies singing, though.
Miguel, it's still out of control. You need to lock it down on your end. And if you do, actually, I don't know. What happens if you do?
Then the backlash should collapse the quantum bridge and overwrite all of this, wiping it from existence. And don't say if. I can still take the CEO. His armor's starting to overheat. He can't control the energy. Just as I think.
Now that the CEO is in a vulnerable state, it's time to let loose. We'll also use present-day Peter's advice and use our decoy to bait the CEO into a full combo, allowing us to get behind him and damage him more. After a while, we web the CEO to the portal and kick him through it. Miguel does the whole cool guys don't look at explosions thing, and we've beaten the game. As a final battle, I actually think it's a big improvement over Shattered Dimensions. That game's final fight felt more like each Spider-Man taking turns to fight Mysterio, without any cooperation between the 4 of them, which was a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, that is
In Edge
true.
of Time, it feels a lot more like Miguel and Peter are
But I didn't
working as
mind
a
it.
team, talking
I
to
didn't
each
mind the
other
fight.
throughout the entire battle.
But
I also like
it
how you
was
switch
kinda
back
like
and
that.
forth between them for each phase of their fights, and I think it's a fitting finale. But that takes us to the final cutscene.
It's all back to normal.
Same here.
Okay, but if the timeline snapped back to normal, if none of it happened, how do you and I remember it? I mean, we've got 2 different sets of memories in our brains.
He explains
Shouldn't
that,
be making
no?
us,
In like the
I don't
credits
know,
or something.
Crazy?
Crazy? We already dress in skin-tight costumes and fight bad guys for free.
Okay, crazy-er.
You really want a 5-hour lecture on temporal paradoxes?
Sure, why not? As it turns out, looks like I have all the time in the world.
In the credits, we get a final dialogue between Peter and Miguel, as Miguel tries to give him that lecture on temporal paradoxes, also mentioning Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, the science whiz of the Fantastic Four.
Coincidentally, Reed Richards did the first studies, which hypothesized that time is like a vortex. And when major changes occur in the surrounding vortex, anyone who is dead center of the disruption can observe them without being affected, like being in the eye of a storm. He called it the observer effect.
We also get another minor Spider-Ham Easter egg, reminiscent of his end credit Easter egg in the first game. But that ends the story of Spider-Man Edge of Time. Overall, I thought it was a well-written and performed story. I was definitely gripped at the beginning with the near death of Peter, and the
I don't know
final
if I'm
moments of the
watched the whole
game felt
video.
epic in scale and triumphant. It's the middle of the game that seems to struggle the most for me, though. It felt like a lot of the middle sections were where they padded the game to increase its gameplay length by sending you on fetch quests from room to
I
room
get
to
that.
retrieve a part or break something instead of progressing the story in
They did it
interesting
all in
ways.
like threes
The game
as well.
also lacks a good variety of boss fights, since we
pretty
primarily fight
repetitive,
against
but
Anti-Venom the whole game,
I didn't think it was bad.
and the CEO at the end. We already talked about it at length, but I think the developers realized they
Like
had
the
an underwhelming
gameplay,
amount of
the gameplay is kind of like mid, a little bit. But the story is so good, bro.
unique bosses in the game, so they threw in Black Cat. For a Spider-Man game, I definitely could have used more noteworthy villains from the comics. The level design is also an area that was a little disappointing. The levels weren't bad, but after the uniqueness and creativity of each level in Shattered Dimensions, Edge of Time feels like a letdown in that category. The whole game takes place in Alchemax, and a lot of the levels start to blur together
my
in
hands are
memory.
sweating, bro.
All of the boss fights take place in reused locations as well, the worst offender being the Time Gate room, where we fight every boss except for Black Cat, but that recycles an earlier level as well. I'm sure a lot of my complaints boil down to the rushed development window Beanox were given by Activision, but it's still disappointing nonetheless. Despite those criticisms, I still enjoyed the story a lot because I think it gets a lot of things right. I really like the twist that the CEO is Peter from the future.
Yeah.
I think it was more impactful thanks to Walker Sloan, who kind of acts as a red herring since I expected him to be the final big bad. I also really liked the mood of the game, since it felt like it had a darker tone to it, both visually and emotionally, but they balanced it well with a lot of fun dialogue between the two Spider-Men. While we're on that topic, I really love the dialogue between Peter and Miguel, and their banter kept me engaged throughout the entire game. Peter David wrote the dialogue, and I think he really excelled here.
I said that
of course, a lot
too,
of that is
pretty
also
sure.
tied to the performances of the voice actors, but I'll wait to discuss them when we get to the audio section of the video. I also thought the quantum causality theme of the game was pretty cool. It was fun watching something you did in the past change things in the future, and I think that element was well done. You could tell that Beanox were having a lot of fun with that, and it was common for things to randomly shift as you approach them in a room, thanks to whatever was happening in the past. My only minor criticism with that is that it was always a scripted event, and I would have liked to have had more control over it as the player. For example, maybe I break all of the objects in a room in the past, so now I can't use them in the future, but if I left the room untouched, then I can use them in 2099. That's not a great example, but you get what I mean. It would have been fun as the player to have some choice in how the future was affected by my actions in the past. But like I said, that's a very minor criticism, and I had a lot of fun watching the quantum causality take place throughout the game, and I think it was cleverly...
Or like you have like multiple ways of getting through like a obstacle or something, and depending on which one, like that changes something that happens in the future. I don't know.
Utilized. But ultimately, I ended up enjoying the story a lot, despite its meandering in the middle. In fact, I might even like the story itself more than I did in Shattered Dimensions. In all reality, that game's story was primarily a fetch quest, having you go from dimension to dimension, collecting pieces of a tablet, and only really progress when Mysterio popped up after each act. Not that Shattered Dimensions was poorly written or anything, I actually think the writing was excellent in that game, just that Edge of Time's story felt more seamless and cohesive as we moved through it. But I think we've talked long enough about the story, so let's get into the gameplay.
What's going on?
Kill you now.
The gameplay is pretty solid in Edge of Time and functions a lot like it did in Shattered Dimensions. Both 2099 and Amazing Spider-Man both have similar combat mechanics to help transition easily between the two, but differ enough that their combat feels unique to each of them. For example, Amazing Spider-Man creates powerful objects out of his webbing, like web wrecking balls to hit enemies, and these give him a lot of range. 2099, on the other hand, is more up close and personal.
I'm not like the gameplay like is kind of just like Shattered Dimensions, but a little bit different. Like, man, the dodging, bro, they don't have that here. The accelerated vision was in Shattered Dimensions, but the hypersense wasn't in Shattered Dimensions. It was just in this one.
Talons have a wide area of effect, allowing you to slash multiple enemies at once if they're in range. You'll alternate between light and heavy attacks, and different combinations can trigger different combo animations, like Amazing creating a giant webbed fist. Strangely, I had to learn these through trial and error, since you can't really unlock new combos in the upgrade store, and I didn't see a button guide that detailed combos. Still, I enjoyed experimenting to see what was available. The combat is pretty simplistic overall though, and at times felt borderline button mashy, since you'll be spamming that light attack button a lot when faced against a group of standard enemies. You do need some strategy in your combat as you progress further into the game though, as you're pitted against more challenging enemies. For example, shield enemies and flying enemies are common opponents that can ruin your day. Shielded enemies can't be hit with light attacks until you open them up with a heavy attack first. For the flying enemies, you need to find a way to knock them out of the sky, and I found the most effective way to do this was by using your special ability that deals with enemies at a distance. For Amazing Spider-Man, you can web zip towards them, and with Spider-Man 2099, you can send out decoys to pull distant enemies closer and break their block. This is effective against flying enemies, shielded enemies, or anyone that wants to stay on the outskirts of the fight with a rifle. I found that you typically want to take out those kind of enemies first, if possible, since they can deal you a lot of unnecessary damage over time with their ranged attacks, especially these stunner enemies because they have a gun that can disorient you if you get hit by it. You'll be wobbling around trying to catch your bearings while enemies rush in to take advantage of the opportunity. It sucked to be hit by one of those, but I actually like this enemy type a lot because they kept me on my toes. You're often faced against multiple of them at a time, which forced me to really pay attention to my surroundings to see if one of them was charging up, so I could either dodge out of the way, or break their block to interrupt them. Webbing also plays a more important role in this game as well. Since you'll be dealing with a lot of enemies at once, many of which are ranged, you'll want to buy yourself some time and delay their attacks. Webbing up enemies is a really satisfying way to slow them down, and I found myself using it often. Webbing is also crucial against security turrets, jamming them up so you can destroy them. I never felt like webbing in Shattered Dimensions was all that essential, but it felt a lot more necessary in Edge of Time, which I appreciated. I also liked how the combat scenarios always felt very frantic, but never overly complex. It's fun juggling a variety of enemy types and using all of the tools at your disposal to most efficiently take them out. The only downside is that the runtime of the game is padded with a ton of combat encounters, so it starts to get a bit repetitive. Fortunately, the upgrade store does a good job of helping to keep things fresh as you incorporate new abilities into your repertoire. For example, you can upgrade current abilities like Amazing Spider-Man's light attacks. At the beginning of the game, he'll start by punching with his normal fists, but as you upgrade him, he'll start to apply webbing to his punches for added damage. In 2099's case, the range at which his talons slash increases, allowing you to hit more enemies with each attack. You can also unlock more advanced abilities that can be activated when your stamina meter goes into overdrive. If your bar is full and you continue to damage enemies, it will start to go into overdrive mode. Once it's in overdrive, you can trigger one of your special abilities, and I found these to be pretty handy. For example, Amazing Spider-Man has one where you can perform a flurry of punches on a single target, something I really enjoyed using against larger enemies. 2099 has a cool one where he punches the ground, causing all nearby enemies to be launched into the air. There are 3 of these overdrive abilities for each Spider-Man, and I thought they were a lot of fun to experiment with. However, what I liked most about them is that they forced me to pay more attention to my stamina meter. Since that meter drains from both the overdrive abilities and the dodge moves, I had to be more strategic with what I used, deciding throughout the fight if it was more important for me to be building up overdrive for special attacks or dodging with spider sense and accelerated vision. It also made me want to dodge less so that I could use overdrive abilities more frequently, which I think made it less of a crutch. As you may have noticed already, the store is different from Shattered Dimensions. In that game, you were given a long list of different upgrades, each one either applying to a specific Spider-Man or all of them at once. The upgrades were also locked by groups based on how many of the in-game challenges you had completed so far. It was a unique approach, and one that I didn't mind, but I wasn't overly thrilled with it. In Edge of Time, it feels a lot more straightforward and organized. There are 3 pages within it. The center one is shared between both Spider-Men, unlocking aerial abilities and improving the potency of their web bullets. You'll also notice a shared ability called Time Paradox. You can trigger this when the purple meter is filled up, and doing so will freeze enemies in place for a short duration. You can either relentlessly beat on the enemies that are frozen, or focus on the enemies that are still moving. It's handy in situations when you're overwhelmed by a large group of enemies, but overall it takes a while to charge and I didn't find myself using it a whole lot during the game. Outside of the shared abilities are individual upgrades for 2099 and Amazing. Like with the shared page, they are broken up into 2 categories, indicated by the gold upgrades and the blue upgrades. The blue ones are the ones we talked about already, which are the standard combat upgrades, which you can buy using portal energy. Portal energy are these blue orbs scattered around each level, and you can find some giant orbs that generate extra. You can also use random computers around Alchemax, which generate energy and health as well, although I'm not sure why. The gold upgrades, however, are bought using golden spiders. You might remember these from Shattered Dimensions, where finding one granted you bonus energy to use in the store. They've been repurposed a bit in Edge of Time, though. Instead of granting energy, they earn you a point towards these gold upgrades. You can find hidden golden spiders around levels, as well as earning them through different challenges, such as defeating all the enemies in a room. There are a lot of combat encounters in the game, and in some cases you can solve the necessary puzzle in that.
The golden spiders in this one felt a little more like rewarding or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but it's something like that, I would say. Yeah, probably something like that.
Room and then leave without defeating all the enemies. However, clearing rooms can earn you a gold spider, which incentivizes you to fight more enemies. Or at least it did for me. There were a lot of times that I'd be tempted to just leave a room and progress, leaving behind a couple of pesky guards, but I'd usually stay a little bit longer and take them out in hopes of acquiring a spider behind a couple of pesky for me. There were a lot of times that I'd be tempted to just leave a room and progress, leaving behind a couple of pesky guards, but I'd usually stay a little bit longer and take them out in hopes of acquiring a spider. These gold upgrades are pretty useful too, increasing things like health or stamina. Since they're so useful, they get pretty expensive, costing around 11 spiders for one upgrade for each Spider-Man, so you'll want to be selective in which ones you prioritize. Ultimately, I like this upgrade store more than the one in Shattered Dimensions, since I felt like I had more choice in what I was upgrading. In Shattered Dimensions, you could only choose between a few upgrades for each new group, with some being locked behind higher challenge walls. In Edge of Time, everything is available at the beginning, so you have a lot more freedom in how you upgrade your Spider-Man. Going back to the combat itself, if I had to choose which Spider-Man I had the most fun playing as, I think I'd say that it was Amazing Spider-Man's. His range is really useful, and his attacks are more visually exciting to watch due to all of his web weapons. 2099 is fun in his own right too, though. He's definitely very effective against large groups of enemies, and I like his accelerated vision ability.
Like, yeah, gameplay, I mean, combat is amazing, but like gameplay, I feel like 2099 had the better like gameplay. I'm trying to remember though, cause I don't remember it that well. Did he? Did he? My bad. Nah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Yo, these guys right here, bro. They got their dogs out, bro. They got the dogs out. God damn, bro. Put some shoes on.
A lot. I think I just preferred the ranged nature of Amazing's combat, so it could just be a personal preference. With this being a Spider-Man game, we should probably discuss traversal
they got
a bit
pants,
too,
but not shoes?
although there's not much to it.
Come on,
Since
bro.
this
Put
is a
some
more
shoes
linear
on.
game with few big open areas, you're not doing a lot of web swinging. The swinging feels pretty good when you need to use it, it's just not very common. Instead, you'll be using your web zip a lot to reach different perch points. In Shattered Dimensions, you use the web zip a lot as well,
same
but I
with
felt like in that game it
Shattered
didn't always
Dimensions,
accurately
that's what I say.
anticipate where I was trying to zip to, leading me to head into wrong directions. In Edge of Time, the web zip feature feels more intuitive, and I didn't feel like I had that same issue. I also
I
thought
don't
that
know.
the wall crawling was very smooth in the game, which isn't always the case for Spider-Man games. I felt like I had a lot of control over where Spidey was crawling, and the camera never became an issue. Despite web swinging and wall crawling being of limited use in this game though, I think Beanox did a good job with it for what it was. However, if you want to test your combat and traversal skills further, the Web of Challenges returns from Shattered Dimensions. Here you can visit different sections of the game and attempt to complete a challenge within them for a medal. Challenges such as collecting all energy orbs in an area under a certain amount of time, or beating all of the enemies in an area within the time limit. They're nothing too crazy, but they do test your skills and add a layer of replay value if you're looking for it. However, the main incentive to play these challenges are for the rewards. If you can get a silver medal in each challenge within a particular web group, it'll unlock concept arts and a token for a new outfit. There's a good variety of outfits to choose from, and the selection should be enough to please any Spider-Man fanboy. Even better, each outfit comes with a bio, telling you the lore behind how Spider-Man acquired the outfit, as well as its first appearance. Collecting these challenges are the main way
They got
you'll
some
unlock
good
a lot
suits
of
in
these
here.
outfits, although a couple can be acquired through cheat codes. If you have a pre-existing save for Shattered Dimensions on your console, you'll be automatically gifted a bunch of outfits from that game as well. The outfits look pretty good too, so let's take a moment to check out each one, starting with the ones available to $20.99. Even though most of the outfits for $20.99 weren't worn by him in the comics, the game gives details in the bio as to how Miguel got his hands on them, which I think is a cool detail. For example, there's Spider-Man 1602, which is a real Spider-Man in the comics, but the game bio states that Miguel got the suit as a gag gift from his girlfriend Dana after she visited a Renaissance fair. Continuing on, we also have Flipside, an Android version of Spider-Man 2099. We also have the Iron Spider suit, created by Stark during the Civil War comic series. There's also the metallic spider armor, apparently a Halloween staple in 2099. Next up is Big Time, developed by Peter to be a stealth suit. This one is Cosmic Spider-Man 2099, an original creation for Shattered Dimensions that was part of a pre-order bonus, so it's nice to actually be able to experience it this time. Then there's the new Spider Armor, created by Peter to withstand a barrage of bullets. There's also the Ben Reilly Spider-Man suit, Ben Reilly being a clone of Peter Parker. We also have the Hydra suit from a time when Miguel was under the influence of Madame Hydra. You can even play as the CEO if you want, although he looks super creepy when he's running around.
Yeah, look how he's running, bro.
Even better,
Look at
you
his
can play
hands.
as the CEO if you want, although he
Look at
looks
his
super
hands.
creepy when he's running around. Even better, you can play as the CEO in his armored suit, which we can now see is the one we pulled up from the ground in his office. Now let's take a quick look at the skins available for Amazing Spider-Man. First up is the bombastic Bagman suit. After getting rid of the symbiote suit in the lab of the Baxter building, Peter needed something to wear to get home. This suit is courtesy of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, who gave him an old Fantastic Four suit and a paper bag to put over his head, his finishing touch being a kick me sign on the back. Then we have the Cosmic Spider-Man suit for Peter, based on his time as Captain Universe in the comics. There's also Scarlet Spider, another outfit worn by the clone Ben Reilly. Next up is Secret War Spider-Man, from a comic where Spider-Man was part of a secret invasion of Latveria with Nick Fury. Continuing on though, we also have the Future Foundation suit, the Future Foundation being a team Reed Richards created after the apparent death of the Human Torch. You can also forgo your secret identity and play as Peter Parker in his office clothes. One of my personal favorite inclusions though is the Miles Morales suit from the Ultimate Universe. Another cool inclusion is the Masked Marvel suit, which is the makeshift suit Peter wore for a wrestling match after being bit by the spider. Another great inclusion is the Symbiote Spider-Man outfit. Peter would of course later get rid of the suit, causing it to find Eddie Brock, merging the two into Venom. There's also the Negative Zone suit from a time when Peter needed to enter the Negative Zone, an alien universe composed entirely of antimatter. There were also a few bonus outfits if you pre-ordered the game before its release. Unfortunately, I don't have access to those, but I do have an old trailer for the pre-orders showcasing them. They're based on the Identity Crisis run in the comics, and these 4 costumes even come with buffs to their character, something the other outfits don't have. They look pretty cool, and I definitely wish I could have...
I don't know about the others, but 2 of them were like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think.
Tried them out. However, you can see part of one of these outfits in the game, since we can see the torso of the Hornet suit in the CEO's archive room. There are also a couple other bonus outfits accessible via the VIP unlock code menu. This menu acts basically like a cheat code screen, but I think its original purpose was to get people to sign up for email lists or follow their social media pages. The text says to go to HeroHQ.com, which no longer exists, but I believe it used to have information on all of the Marvel games under the Activision umbrella. Even though you can't access Hero HQ anymore, you can still find some of the old cheat codes from it, 3 of which unlock certain suits. The first one is for $20.99 called Poison, based on a what-if comic where Peter permanently fuses with the Venom symbiote and names their unity Poison. This suit is terrifying, and I love it. It gets better, though. During the story, while you're playing as Peter, you can occasionally get an up-close view of Miguel in the suit as he speaks to you mentally,
not even closing
and it's absolutely haunting. It's definitely one of my new favorite suits in the game. The next couple suits belong to Amazing Spider-Man. The first is his Last Stand suit, worn by a darker, older version of Peter where he becomes an anti-hero, killing villains like Kraven the Hunter and Dr. Octopus. The other suit is based on another version of Peter that kills from a what-if issue called Spider-Man vs. Wolverine. However, Spider-Man never really fights Wolverine in this issue, and they actually team up. Spider-Man goes to Russia with Wolverine, accidentally kills someone, and continues to do so when he returns home in a new suit. It's a pretty cool issue, and I like that these VIP codes unlock darker versions of Spider-Man. That's all of the suits in the game, but there is one other code you can use in the VIP section. That code unlocks an arena, which I'm surprised was locked behind a cheat code and not just available outright in the game. Also, I couldn't access this on the emulator, so the recordings are coming straight from my PS3 for this section, so if you notice a decrease in graphical quality, that's on my end, not yours. But anyway, the arena is basically what it sounds like. You can select either $20.99 or Amazing Spider-Man, and you'll be dropped at the gateway for 7 waves of enemies. What I like best though is that you start with nothing. Even if you've fully unlocked all abilities in the story mode, you're starting fresh in the arena. After you beat each wave, you're given a limited amount of time to collect as many orbs and golden spiders as you can, which you can then spend in the upgrade store. So after each wave, you want to try and upgrade your most important abilities to help you progress to wave 7.
That's cool.
Once at the final wave, you fight Black Cat and her clones as the final boss. Not much changes based on what Spider-Man you pick though, just a few different enemy types that are more relevant for a certain Spider-Man. However, Black Cat acts as the final boss for both characters. And stuff. It's a really fun mode though, and I absolutely loved its inclusion here.
That is cool.
After playing through it, I have to give more credit to 2099's combat as well. Even though I said I favored playing as Amazing during the story, I noticed I was able to clear through each wave much faster as 2099. He's a really efficient fighter, and his overshield and accelerated vision are really useful. Amazing's combat is
low-key? Okay. How was the combat? It's because I don't remember it that well, but I feel like low-key, like, Amazing Spider-Man had, like, a better ability, like Hypersense, but 2099, like, I just felt like his attacks were smooth, but so was, like, Amazing Spider-Man. I feel like they're both good. Like, they're decent. Both of them are decent.
Flashy and visually appealing, but he can't deal with crowds as effectively as 2099, and focuses on one character at a time typically. That being said, he's incredibly quick and zippy, and I still had a blast playing him in the arena mode as well. Outside of that, there are some other extras in the game that I want to briefly go over. As you play through the story, you can unlock various collectibles. One of my favorites are action figures, which are essentially model viewers, but I like that they include in-depth bios. A lot of information included isn't ever mentioned in the story of the game, and is exclusive to these little action figure bios. For example, backstory on the Black Cat clone, and the CEO's rise to power. So if you're really interested in the lore of the universe and want more detailed information on certain characters, these are really useful. For additional lore, you can also hunt down memos. These were incredibly tricky to spot, and I didn't even realize it was a collectible the first time I found one. It's just a small red object on the ground, and it's really easy to miss. There aren't a lot of them in the game, but they're there if you want them. You can also check out concept art from the game, and you unlock these by completing challenges in the Web of Challenges menu. Lastly is one of my favorites, which are newspapers. As you progress the story, you'll unlock 2 versions of a newspaper, one from the normal timeline and one from the altered timeline created by Walker Sloan. These are mostly joke articles, but they're a lot of fun to sift through. Here are a couple of my favorite ones. Police close in on Hammerhead. Hammerhead opens line of XL hat stores. Jameson Sr. May Parker wedding is social event of the season. Jameson Sr., Betty Brant wedding as social event of the season. Chameleon believed responsible for Middle East unrest. Chameleon to host new game show, Who Am I? By the way, if you're unfamiliar with the character, Chameleon is a master of disguise, masking himself to appear to be anyone he wants. Honestly, I think I'd actually tune in for this game show if it existed. But lastly, here's my favorite one. Vulture takes wing in Crime Spree. Adrian Toomes founds new chicken wing franchise. Adrian Toomes is of course the Vulture, and I think he makes the perfect alternate universe Colonel Sanders. He actually looks a bit like Patrick Stewart there too. Also, I found it funny that not much effort went into providing fake text at the bottom of the Alchemax newspaper, since you can see someone wrote, "Today in New York," and then proceeded to just mash buttons on the keyboard randomly. It then ends with, "Today in New York" again. But I think that's all of the additional features in the game. Overall, I like the amount of unlockable content there is in Edge of Time.
Well, he said
I think it enhances
he looks like Patrick Stewart. For a second, bro, I didn't know who he was talking about, but he's talking about Professor X, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he does kind of look like him there.
Replay value, especially the additional suits in that arena mode. I just wish the arena mode wasn't locked behind a cheat code, since I'm sure many people didn't even know it existed.
Okay, guess I can go back now and take
I'm worried about all this. Yeah, that's it for this always nerdy video.